Initializing program. Running TavernQuest. Oh my ale! Loading. Please wait. Loading complete. TavernQuest version 1.1. Type New Game to begin. Intro. The tutorial. This interactive lesson will teach you the basics of playing TavernQuest. You are in a classroom. You take a seat at a desk at the very, very back of the absurdly elongated lecture hall. You find yourself alone, as the other desks are all empty. Bookshelves line the wall. Candlelit chandeliers illuminate a high wooden ceiling. There is something written on the blackboard at the front of the classroom. Type "Read Blackboard" to see what it says. Whatever reason you had for being in the classroom is seemingly irrelevant. Immediately after taking your seat at your desk, something causes you to abruptly reverse course, stand up, and head straight for the exit. You decide not to read the blackboard. The information written there holds no significance to you, apparently. You leave the classroom, closing the door behind you. On the other side of the door, you find another classroom that is completely identical in every way to the one you just left. You happily take a seat at your desk in this new doppelganger classroom. At this point, the teacher walks into the classroom and sets his things on his desk. He is as old as his beard is long and gray, though he maintains remarkable posture, and his purple scholarly robes are neat and well-pressed. "Hello, dear player," he says. "I am Tutorial Terry, the teacher of all things TavernQuest." We will now go over the list of commands that you will need throughout your quest, says Tutorial Terry. I noticed you already tried the leave command for some reason, so you've got that one down. One important command is to talk with characters you encounter. Why don't you try Talk Tutorial Terry? You say, "Hello, my name is Wendell, and I love tutorials. I wish I could stay in this tutorial forever and ever." Tutorial Terry replies, "Fantastic! I too am extremely passionate about tutorials." On to the next lesson, he continues. You'll need to collect and use many items throughout your quest. These will be kept in your inventory. Why don't you type inventory and see what is already there? You hold your wooden sword of training to Tutorial Terry's neck. You don't understand! I need to stay in this beautiful tutorial forever and ever, and I refuse to progress any further! Combat. Type Help Combat for you unsheath your sword of training and swipe at Tutorial Terry. Tutorial Terry pulls out his own sword of training and whacks you on the leg. When you attack, you can leave yourself exposed, he says. Try to block on your next turn. You strike Tutorial Terry in the chest. There are dozens of different combat moves to try, says Tutorial Terry, but you can always surrender if things start to look dire. He hits you with an ineffectual tickle slap. You bash Tutorial Terry in the head with the hilt of your sword of training. You finish bashing in Tutorial Terry's head as he falls limp to the floor. I have bested the tutorial boss, you say. Clearly, I should win some sort of award for being so gallant. Should I perhaps perform CPR on this poor fellow? You wonder aloud. You instead start rifling through Tutorial Terry's pockets. Let's check if he's wealthy first. I wouldn't want to waste my time. You take Certificate of Tutorial Completion, Sword of Training. Sorry, old reliable, you say to your trusty Sword of Training, which has seen you through many an adventure. I couldn't possibly pass up on this free upgrade. You toss out your old Sword of Training and replace it with an exact duplicate Sword of Training. At this point, the teacher walks into the classroom and sets his things on his desk. He is as old as his beard is long and gray, though he maintains remarkable posture, and his purple scholarly robes are neat and well pressed. Hello, dear player, he says. You look back down at the ground only to find that the corpse you just looted has unceremoniously vanished. Tutorial Terry looks curiously at the remaining puddle of blood on the floor. Are you quite all right? You hand Tutorial Terry your certificate of tutorial completion. As much as I love doing tutorials, I have an important quest to embark upon, you say. Tutorial Terry, wouldst thou show me the proper exit? As you wish. On to your main quest, says Tutorial Terry. How did you know my name? Act 1. The Tavern. You have just entered a small, rowdy tavern on the outskirts of the village. A grumpy barkeep polishes a mug behind the counter. Most of the noise in the tavern emanates from a table of boisterous dwarves. You recall that you've been meaning to read an important note from your father in your inventory. You loudly declare that your quest has been completed and that you should quite like to return home. You find this to be quite ineffectual. The princess still awaits your rescue. You are still in the tavern. Invalid command, save princess. Type help for assistance. As enriching an activity as that would be, you decide that you don't have enough time to do that. Your quest is all too imperative. You look around for a bartender, but all you can find is a barkeep. Is the barkeep good enough instead of whatever a bartender is? Yes or no? The barkeep hollers at you. Hey, you gonna order a drink or just keep gaping about the room? All right, old top. What's your poison? Says the barkeep. We got ale, mead, grog, wine, and club soda. The barkeep chuckles. We really only serve one drink. The others are just false choices to make you feel more empowered. He slides a mug of ale to you across the counter. It costs you 2 gold. You throw the contents of the mug of ale down your throat and wipe the foam off your mouth. The barkeep immediately snatches your empty mug and compulsively begins polishing it. Say, you look like the adventuring type, says the barkeep. How about you clear out those dratted rats in my basement? I'll reward your efforts, of course. Accept quest from barkeep? Clear basement of rats? Yes or no? Only an adventurer as noble as I could possibly aid this distraught citizen, you ponder aloud. You carefully consider the right words to put the troubled barkeep's mind at ease. Don't worry, I got you, bro.
"Good luck, fair adventurer," says the barkeep. "May the gods ever be with you."
Was he being sarcastic? You throw open the basement door and walk down a narrow, creaky stairway to the basement. The basement is chilly and damp, and the air is tainted by a ratty odor from the many rats scurrying about the floor. The corners are outfitted with generic barrels, presumably full of ale, and an ornate cabinet adorns the far wall. You clear your throat and try to recollect some of the phrases you learned back in middle school rat squeaking class.
Eek, 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 eek. I command you to get hence.
You attempt to squeak to the rats.
If these rats are going to live in my country, they ought to learn English anyway. Is there a translator amongst you?
You ask the rats. The rats continue scurrying about for a minute. Finally, a rat stands on his hind legs and, to your bewilderment, speaks back to you.
I am a delegate sent from the rats of Basementia. According to due process, we have put the issue to a democratic vote. I must unfortunately inform you that the referendum failed to receive the necessary 2/3 majority, and the denizens of Basementia will not surrender per your command. I must also unfortunately inform you that forced deportation is a ratified war crime. No pun intended. Good day, sir.
Perceiving your intention to attack, the rats begin the process of formally declaring war against you. The motion passes swiftly through all 38 chambers of Basementia Parliament. The rats organize into orderly troops according to previously sanctioned contingency plans and squeak loudly. Combat! Type Help Combat for... You kneel down and start pounding on the floor with your fists, but cannot manage to smash any rats. You switch to stomping with better success. The rats scurry around and under the cabinet. You wonder what might be inside this cabinet, but you decide to take care of these rats first. You stomp and stomp and stomp some more. You sure love stomping rats. The rats congregate and work together, using their tails to fling one of the rats at your face. It crawls down to your neck and gnaws at your jugular. You stomp some more. It is so remarkably easy to stomp these rats. It's very encouraging. You have valiantly stomped out the brains of every rat. The floor is now blanketed with rat carcasses. The barkeep walks in. He plucks a dead rat out of one of the barrels and examines it.
"I heard your incessant stomping, and I'm glad to see all these dead rats. Here's your reward,"
says the barkeep as he hands you 10 gold.
"Feel free to look around the basement as much as you want,"
says the barkeep. He heads back up the stairs to the tavern. Exhausted, you lean against the closed ornate cabinet and take a breather.
Whatever shall I do now?
you think to yourself, while admiring the fine craftsmanship of the cabinet next to you. You pass by the ornate cabinet and open up each and every barrel. You find ale in all of them, to the surprise of no one. The ale is now contaminated with drowned rats. You're glad you got that settled. You ditch this grody basement. That dumb cabinet was probably empty anyways. You're now back upstairs in the tavern, admiring the shiny new 10 gold in your inventory. You're carrying Note from Father, Quest Journal, Ring of Peasant Ignoring, an amount of gold. You look at your Ring of Peasant Ignoring. As the son of a wealthy lord, you're glad this ring gives you the magical ability to ignore filthy peasants at will. Invalid command, red note. Type help for assistance. Invalid command, read not. Type help for assistance. Invalid command, read note. Type help for assistance. Invalid command, dude, just let me read the note. Please specify which note you are trying to read. The note reads, "To my dearest son, normally I would hesitate to ask a task this daunting of you, but it is not I, but the king himself that requires it. There lies a princess high atop Fantasy Mountain in the Tower of Thraldom. She is imprisoned by a mysterious and powerful captor. As heiress to the throne, the very fate of this kingdom relies solely on her return to the Eternal Palace. I bid thee travel to this unassuming tavern, her last known location, and, might I add, a fitting location to begin such an adventure. Sincerely, Father." You wander aimlessly about the tavern, looking for intriguing plot hooks. You pass by those dwarves sitting at their table. They might be fun. You also pass by the barkeep, who looks like he wishes you would just sit down and enjoy an ale like the rest of his patrons. One of the dwarves starts howling in glee as he sweeps a pile of gold off the table and into his pockets.
Well, I tell you boys, no dwarf can best me in a game of knucklebones.
You approach the table of the foreign, rowdy dwarves.
Greetings, comrades!
You say. One of the dwarves turns to you and says,
Oi! You look like a nice fella. Care for a round of knucklebones?
Play knucklebones with dwarves? Costs 15 gold. Yes or no? The dwarf addresses you, tugging on his bushy beard.
So, babyface, you ever played before? Hagen, why don't you teach the newbie how knucklebones is played? Actually, says Hagen, you see, the name of knucklebones is a wee bit of a misnomer. We just play it with regular old dice nowadays. Whoever rolls the highest wins, says Hagen.
He hands you a die, and all of the dwarves place 15 gold on the table.
Ready, boys? 1, 2, 3, roll!
All of the dwarves roll their dice. You probably should too. The clatter of heavy dwarven dice fills the tavern as all of the dwarves roll them.
I got a 4,
One says,
but look at my 5,
says another,
boys, I rolled a 6.
yells Hagen. You roll a 1,
'Tis a shame,
says Hagen, as he rakes all of the gold into his pockets.
the gods of dice clearly just didn't like you today, lad. I know what'll cheer you up,
Says Hagen.
how about another round of knucklebones?
One of the dwarves turns to you and says,
Oi, you look like a nice fella. Care for a round of knucklebones? Ready, boys? 1, 2, 3, roll!
The dwarves all roll their dice. The dwarven dice seem to be as loud as the dwarves themselves,
Look, we both got 5s,
says two of the dwarves,
I can't believe it. Another 6!
shouts Hagen. You roll a 6,
Huh?
says Hagen.
I also got a 6 myself. What are we supposed to do for a tie again? Why, if I recall,
Says a fellow dwarf.
the two of you hold a singing competition. No, you blundering drunkard,
Says Hagen.
if I recall, ties are resolved the same way dwarves resolve any dispute, an arm wrestling match.
Arm wrestle with Hagen. Difficulty? Futile. Yes or no? You soberly explain to Hagen that such physical contests are against your moral code. Hagen rolls his eyes.
Ah, you big baby. I bet you like us to have a nappy wetting contest instead. Come on, I'll even go easy on you.
Arm wrestle with Hagen. Difficulty? Futile. Yes or no? You again attempt to persuade Hagen that your refusal is one of asceticism and not one of cowardice.
Look, pal, I don't know what you're on about, but I'm telling you that if you refuse one more darn time, I'm keeping this gold for myself.
Arm wrestle with Hagen? Do it, you weenie. Yes or no? You take a big gulp and lock hands with the meaty grip of terrifying Hagen. To the surprise of every dwarf at the table, you readily meet the terrifying force of Hagen's arm. Hagen's arm begins to waver as his beard starts filling with perspiration. A concerned dwarf pounds the table.
Hagen? What are you doing? Are you really losing to this wee one? Ha ha! Hagen laughs comfortably. Of course not! What do you take me for?
The battle you have been fiercely fighting has been but mere child's play. With a slight flex of his bicep, Hagen pins your arm and also somehow your leg to the table. He giggles at his own connivery. Amid the ensuing round of chest bumps between the dwarves, you sulk away from the table with the shambles of what remains of your masculinity in tow. Why, you think to yourself, why did I arm wrestle a dwarf? You look around the tavern, convinced there must be some challenge to be completed in order to move forward. Maybe this torch on the wall acts as a hidden lever, you think. Or maybe if I combine this chair with a candle, I can make some sort of useful puzzle item. You waste a lot of time before discovering that this tavern's challenge is worse than you thought. Basic social interaction. The barkeep is pouring drinks.
Hey, pal, what are you looking at?
He says. You hear a roaring laugh from the dwarves in the corner. One of the dwarves throws a mug full of ale across the tavern, shouting,
Well, Hagen, I'll show you who's got a small beard.
You get the impression that you should leave them alone. Having no weapons, you unholster your fists and prepare to punch a bunch of heavily armed dwarves. Combat. Type Help Combat for... You crack your knuckles and charge at the dwarves like a rabid coyote. You manage to land a punch on one of the dwarves as he readies his menacing battle axe.
I'll get you thundering bugger,
Yells a dwarf. He and his dwarf friends grab their battle axes and drunkenly swing at you. You manage to avoid most of their attacks, but you do incur a small gash on your arm. You duck under the swinging battle axe of one of the dwarves and jab the attacker in the nose. A dwarf picks you up and hoists you over his head.
Hi, lads. Isn't it garbage day?
He lops you headfirst into the garbage bin. You're disappointed that your noble robes are now soiled. You wipe away blood from your mouth.
Is this my blood or theirs?
You ponder as you knock another dwarf in the teeth. Two of the dwarves grab you by the head and heels. Another dwarf opens up a barrel of ale, saying,
Don't he look a little thirsty?
The dwarves dunk you in the ale as you gasp for air. Surprisingly, your fists were insufficient to take on the many dwarves. The dwarves cut you up like Sunday lunch. You are dead. A team of dwarves clobbered you to death. Better luck next time. Restart encounter? Yes or no? Having no weapons, you unholster...
I'll get you.
One of the dwarves picks up a couple of gold coins and slings them at you.
Hey, that's a great idea,
Says another dwarf. The group begins tossing more coins at your head. Two of the dwarves jump on you and pin. Eerily staggering, you refuse to go down. You gear up and give the group a mega slap, toppling all of the dwarves into a pile. Amazingly, all of the dwarves forgot all of their weapon training and just sat there and let you slap them to death. The tavern's other patrons have left, having grown tired of spectating the dwarf punching display. Immediately after felling your enemies, your first instinct is to rummage through each of their belongings. Despite the fact that you are already personally rather wealthy and that you are on an important quest, you figure that stealing a bit of loose change is a good use of your time right now. You take bottle of beard conditioner. You crawl over the pile of dwarf corpses and saunter on up to the barkeep to initiate a casual chat about the recent weather. The unfazed barkeep continues polishing his mug.
Why, yes, the recent rain has been great for my barley crops.
Did you say something, barkeep? All I heard was blah, 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 blah.
You shout at the barkeep.
You suck eggs.
You once again curl up your fists.
Let's go, old man.
You say to the enfeebled barkeep.
Combat.
Type help combat for. You hop over the counter and punch the old barkeep in the throat.
That'll teach you, you old coot,
you say.
Consider this my final warning, pal,
says the barkeep. He punches you in the face. You continue punching the defenseless barkeep. You feel your manhood is validated via this activity.
All right, you dumb drunk. Out of my tavern,
says the barkeep. He throws ale in your face. You give the barkeep a final finishing blow, sending his unconscious body to the floor. You knocked out the poor barkeep with your bloody knuckles.
That'll show him.
Outside, you hear a flurry of chainmail and shouting coming from what you assume is the incoming village guards. You steal a glance at the mirror in this moment of moral victory.
Wow,
You think to yourself.
I sure look great with all this blood on my noble robes.
The village guards stand outside and command you to leave the tavern. You hop on over the counter and focus your efforts on turning out the pockets of the grisly remains of the old barkeep. You take basement door key, apron of barkeeping. The village guards storm the tavern.
Surrender yourself or die,
says the guard captain. You get the impression that taking out the village guards is impossible by design. You unlock the basement door with the basement door key and head down the basement stairs. The village guard elect not to follow you into the basement. It appears they have an arbitrary aversion to stairs. You are back in the basement. All the rats are dead. You notice that a mysterious, luminescent aura begins to radiate through the cracks around the closed cabinet door. You open up the ornate cabinet to investigate the source of the aura. Huh. It looks like someone just left the lights on. You turn them off. Inside, you see old mysterious book, package of hot dogs. You slide all of the barkeep's hot dogs into your pocket. They seem pretty old, but you can't argue with free food. Plus, these wouldn't exist if they weren't important. What pivotal role will these hot dogs serve later in your quest? However, another question takes precedence in your mind. What is that strange tingling sensation you get while looking at the mysterious book? It's as if it is beckoning to you. As you start to shut the cabinet door, you notice that the mysterious book has a lurid depiction of a naked elvish woman on its spine. Your interest in this mysterious book suddenly skyrockets.
As a true scholar of literature, I simply must add this book to my collection.
You decide.
No time to delay.
But, to your disappointment, the book is glued shut and cannot be taken from the shelf. Instead, as you slide the book outward, you hear the creaks and pops of pulleys and winches moving into action. A false panel slides upward in the back of the cabinet, revealing a darkened secret passage. Act 2. The Tomb.